Save highlight. What does that mean? At least 1 minute video is needed to start a highlight. Okay. Seeing what else we got on here. Alright. Are these filters for lives? Ooh. So if you've been in the house all day one day, you can put a filter on it. Do I like this filter? Let's see. Alright, it's not distracting. Yeah, it's definitely distracting. Sorry. Alright. What's up? Alright. So, I'm going to start doing a couple of different things with my YouTube channel. I am Shemika Jackson. I own upscalelacewigs.com, and I also own cafunehair.com with the infamous Melt Me Down spray that has been getting great reviews. If you are not familiar with Cafune Hair of the Melt Me Down spray, I need for you to go there and check it out. It's a lace melting spray. It's better than Gots to Be, and it is the truth, and it works extremely well. So I'm gonna just do lives. I think it's easier for me to do lives, for me to just have a conversation and it be posted on my page, and I don't want to think about like editing and all that other stuff on my page anymore for YouTube. So a little bit about me. If you're not familiar with who I am, I've been in the hair business for over 14 years now. And recently I came back into the business because I was actually out of the business for a couple of years, and that's a whole other story. But what I came to realize is that I'm in a couple of hair groups for hair, people who sell wigs, make wigs, and things like that. And I realized that it's a lot of people out here that need help, that want to build a business. And I didn't realize how much information I do know until you're answering like all these people questions, or you realize that these people have questions that really should be answered, and it should be answered correctly, because they're kind of just lost. So I feel like really bad for those people. Because when I was younger, I have a page called Growing Upscale. My business name is Growing Upscale Hair. That's where you get upscale lace wigs from. Fun fact about me is that when I was 21, 22 years old, I always had a strong desire to do other things that was beyond going to work. And I remember one day saying to myself, I went to college, did all that, and I remember started working, and I remember saying to the woman who was training me, like, is this all to life? Like, I'm just supposed to do this for the rest of my life? Like, I didn't understand what and why. I felt like it was just empty. I felt like working was just not enough for me, even at 21, 22 years old. And let's get it straight. I did do it, and I still do that same exact job, literally 15 years later. But at that time when I was younger, I felt as though there was a need and a desire for something else, but I didn't know exactly in a way what it looked like. So I was going to start a blog, or not a blog, but like some sort of connection group. And I don't know if anybody's familiar. There's like used to be this website called Ning, and you could put different pages together of like-minded people for whatever. So like there was one called Lace Wig Connection. So you put one for lace wigs, there would be one for real estate, and etc. Now, so back then I thought of a page that I wanted to do, and it was going to go called Growing Upscale. And Growing Upscale wasn't going to be for people who wanted to be better or be bougie. It was really for a platform for people who were like me, who was unfamiliar with certain things. Like they didn't know what to do. Like I was into real estate. I wanted to start my own business when I was 21. Like my mind was always on what's next, as in how, like, I'm just a numbers person, and beyond numbers, I'm like a money person, like value. So like when I used to work at a tax office, I sat there. I'm like, they do how many taxes here, and they're charging X amount of dollars. And I remember going to go look up the software because this is like right where I'm about to graduate. Right, I'm about to graduate in an accounting degree, and I thought to myself, they making a lot of money, and it's not hard. They got high schoolers, not high schoolers, college kids doing it. Why can't I do it? I can do this. And I remember liking real estate, and my very first property was a duplex. So here I am, 22, 23, with this mindset that was, I'm not going to say it wasn't normal. I don't think it was a lot of kids, young adults like my age, that wanted to do these things. And I did not know how to connect all these people together for me to get the information that I need. So a lot of the things that was going on, a lot of the options that you had in real estate, I didn't have. I didn't have, credit cards with thousands of dollars to do investment properties. I didn't have retirement accounts that I could borrow off of. I didn't have people around me or things that I knew in order for me to get where I wanted to go in life at that age. So that's where growing upskill actually came from. Pause there. Life happened, got in a relationship and things like that, and I started doing other things that distracted me in a way from me like really seeking that website or anything like that. Okay, so when I'm fast forward, and there's a lot in the middle, but I'm going to just give you the information of how this channel, I'm going to start integrating it because I feel like it's necessary. So going back to my story. So as I'm on Facebook, I'm on a Facebook group, right? And I'm seeing all these people with these different questions. I don't know what ages they are because I'm not looking at their profile pages. But I came to realize that, I'm starting to understand my purpose, even at my age as that I am right now. And I feel as though it will be, I need to give back, and give back in a way where I can give someone else free knowledge of all the stuff that it took me some time. It took me a lot of experimenting. It took me a lot of reading, a lot of knowledge to be able to understand. And I feel as though that this information needs to be given. Yet, in order for any of us to elevate even higher, that you can, there's more information that can be given for you to go even higher in regards to whatever you want to do, right? So, for example, I'm looking at these videos, these Facebook groups, and I'm sitting there like, one of the questions was, which is a lot of the questions was about hair origins, and it's about raw hair versus virgin hair. And a lot of these vendors are giving a lot of you guys wrong information. So for me, I'm being in the business for a very long time. I can tell you what I did to counter a lot of this information that is given to you guys, and you're not familiar, and you're going to get frustrated because you're like, blank, how am I going to get to where I need to go with my hair business, and I'm getting the wrong information from these vendors. Okay, let's start with sourcing, for example. And I'm not going to have this video very long and drawn out. I'm going to try to do it very short. And I'm going to start noting every topic that I talk about so that the next video will be something of value that you'll be able to see as well. So let's just talk about sourcing. But I wanted to tell you why I'm doing this, because I feel like you got to know who I am before you'll be able to understand like my story, my journey, or even to understand why I feel as though I want to change the narrative a little bit of my YouTube channel. Okay. In regards to lace wigs and people want to purchase lace wigs, that's always going to be me. I'm always going to do that. But if you ever look at my videos, you look at my videos from back in 2008, 2009, I was still producing content of value, and it wasn't something like, a sales thing, right? Because that's just who I am. I like to look up stuff, figure things out, and learn from it, right? So understanding sourcing. If you want to understand sourcing when it comes to lace wigs, one thing you want to always learn first is that you want to learn what you're buying. And in order for you to learn what you're buying, you want to learn what exactly is raw hair, what's the definition of it, how it's made, like how do you like accumulate the raw hair, what sort of processes it takes for you to get to the bulk stage, to get to the wefting stage, and also how it's then produced in or sold to other countries, and who's ultimately giving up their hair to sell and why possibly, so that you have a real good familiarity of what's raw hair. So number one, you want to teach yourself, become familiar with the knowledge before, let me go buy this hair, a bundle of hair, and send it from China and go sell it to my customer. Because what comes with it can cost you a lot of money, right? So number two, understanding what raw means, what Remy means, what virgin hair means, and understand how the process takes to make a weft, what the process is to make a lace front, or what's the process to make a full lace wig. Number two, when you are talking to different vendors, for me, if I'm sourcing hair, because number one, I'm already informed, right? So since I'm already informed, I now am then going to see how informed these vendors are that I'm working with. Because at the end of the day, you always have to remember that anytime you're contacting a vendor, it's a sale, right? So you are ultimately a customer for them, but it's something that you two can build a nice, wonderful relationship and you guys can grow together. The one thing that I used to always do was I always asked my vendor certain questions. And I asked them certain questions, even though I knew the answer to it, but I wanted to see what type of information that they were going to give me. And I felt as though if they were going to give me, or if they did give me either value of some sort of real information, like what is really raw hair versus virgin hair versus, someone just calling it Remy, or the hair origin, where it came from, versus someone who's just selling me something just to tell me to sell it to me. So for example, if I ask somebody if it's raw hair, for example, now currently right now in the market, everything is raw or virgin, right? A couple years ago, it was Brazilian hair. A few years before that, it might have been a 6A, 7A, 5A, whatever, letters, right? So every few years, the hair industry is going through some sort of marketing plan to change the value of the hair that you're buying. I need for you guys to understand that, because if you understand hair, you understand raw hair, you understand what types of people are cutting their hair. Of course, majority of you guys know it's Indian people. Then you'll also understand that when someone says they're giving you raw hair and it's all the same sort of texture, body wave and straight, then you know that that hair isn't raw. So even those simple things of understanding what's a raw hair versus what is virgin hair, what is single drawn versus double drawn, it gives you an idea of what you should be paying for, right? Now, am I saying to never buy any sort of virgin hair or any sort of hair from different vendors that are claiming it to be something else? No, because some of the hair could be worthwhile. But what I am saying is you should not, and even though for me it's a character thing, you should not be selling it as something that it's not, which is raw hair is a lot more expensive, and someone who has knowledge of it will kind of like look at you like, oh, girl, that hair is not raw hair. But someone who may not know, one of your customers, they might not make any difference. But I do think that you should become very familiar with what you're selling before you're selling it. Number three. Number one was understand what you're selling. Understand all the different terminologies that's included. I'm going to start generating a list of all the information that you need to learn in order for you to understand what sort of questions to ask. Number two, how to question the people that you are talking to. Certain questions that you ask, see what they say. Sometimes I get even more information, especially when it came to making lace wigs. Especially when it came to making lace wigs, because you end up talking to them. Number three, how to source your vendors. One of the ways that you can source it, of course, majority of you guys know it's Alibaba, AliExpress. AliExpress is a less expensive version quicker version of Alibaba. There's a lot more vendors on Alibaba than it is on AliExpress. To me, AliExpress got a lot of cheap wig makers. Three, number two, you can go on Facebook groups. How do I say this? I find that Facebook groups, and although you're looking for validity because you don't want to lose your money, I find that it could be one of different ways. Number one, if you're going to a Facebook group to look and verify that your vendor is good, also keep in mind there are literally thousands of other women on those channels looking for the same vendor that you just posted. Do you think you like their hair? Okay, what comes with that is a lot more sales if you do like that vendor. Number three, also what comes with that is that quality can change. The reality of is quality can change with every vendor. And I've been in that position where I'm like emailing my dude, like my vendor, like, yo, what's up? Why would you send me this crap? Right? That's number three. Number four, in regards to talking about Facebook groups. Number four, understand that just because someone sells another company quality hair and you're asking about that to that same company about hair, they can give you two different types of hair. They have an established relationship with the other customer, and they don't have one for you. And you got to keep in mind that there's a lot of people buying one or two bundles from this particular vendor because they're sampling their hair, or your company is very small and it hasn't grown to what another company has. So you definitely want to keep that in mind, because from my own personal experience, I've had a ton of I've had vendors that I'm not paying them all the full amount on their wigs. They're going to buy their wigs from me. I'm going to buy my wigs from them, and I might pay them just a deposit. I'm like, well, start these wigs and I'll pay the rest when it's finished. But I had a relationship with my vendors. I had a long-term relationship where they knew that I'm not going to screw you on their money for their wigs. And because I bought so many wigs from them, we had a relationship with each other. So that expectation was also different. A part of my experience too is there's been times where I feel as though I got some BS. I'm like, this wig is garbage. So, and then there's also times where you have this expectation of what someone else is selling until you see it for yourself. So try not to get caught up in trying to always get whoever the popular wig makers or the wig companies are out there. Really just focus on what your product is and what you have, because there's literally been times where, and I'm not going to say any names, where customers will come bring me their wigs that they got from other vendors. I don't care, like, whatever, right? They still came back. They might come buy with me, buy with them. I don't care. But what happens is, what I noticed was sometimes a lot of big name vendors, when I actually got their product, I didn't think that it was much to it. There wasn't too many vendors that I really, of lace wigs, that a customer come in and show me their wig, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. You know what I mean? There was one, and I can't remember that name. There was one vendor, and I think it wasn't for wigs. I believe it was for bundles of hair. And when I saw this hair, I was like, oh my gosh, it was nice. But you're talking 5-6 years ago. So also keep that in mind. So you really want to stay zoned in on what you're doing and what your product is. And also, go beyond Facebook groups. Go beyond Alibaba when you're sourcing your hair. Keep in mind also, number three, you can go to LinkedIn. They are hair exporters. Go into LinkedIn and look up hair exporters. You're going to find some raw hair vendors. I didn't say Chinese vendors, because there's a ton of them everywhere. But if you're looking for raw hair, which is very specific, and you're looking for a particular country, go there and look for the vendors on LinkedIn, because it's a professional site. LinkedIn, it's professionals. Majority of the time, business owners want to work with other business owners. A lot of us have business profiles in LinkedIn, and the type of clientele that is on LinkedIn is a lot different than you're trying to find, the Facebook profiles. Because we all know, because a lot of y'all, we got LinkedIn pages, barely probably sign on. That's for work, and now this is here. But ultimately, you're running a business. So I would go and suggest that you go on LinkedIn, and you can find hair exporters on there. Because I know for a fact, a couple of the raw hair vendors that I've either sourced or I've seen, and I never tried them yet, they're on LinkedIn. What else? And at the end of the day, when it's coming to sourcing the hair, you're going to have to try it for yourself. is no other way of getting around it. You just have to really be patient with yourself to really just be okay with sampling the hair, because it doesn't happen right away. Like when you sampling hair, the hair is not going to always, you're not going to always be able to tell immediately if the hair is good or bad. It's going to take you some time. It's going to take you some experience. And raw hair is a little bit different because it allows for you to, the maintenance of it. I mean, how many people have you seen that had hair? You're like, this person has a head, you know, full of beautiful hair. And somebody else, you're like, girl, if she don't put some moisturizer in that joint. But hopefully these tips will help you when you're starting your lace wig business journey. And so just want to keep in mind, understand the terminology of what you're buying. And also, number two, ask the vendors that you're sourcing or you're questioning or you're searching for, ask them questions and see what type of responses they give you. If they give you very generic or they don't want to answer your questions, move on. A lot of vendors, especially the raw vendors, they're very nice. Like, they will sit there and they'll talk to you and they'll answer, well, they've answered all my questions. But I've heard a lot of different stories about some of these other vendors. Number two, so when you're asking these questions, because you have the knowledge and the know-how, then you're able to go to these vendors and ask them. Number three, how to source your hair. You can go to Alibaba, AliExpress, although I don't suggest AliExpress. You can go to, you can actually find them on Facebook too, actually. You can find them on Instagram. You got to find the right hashtags. And then also you can find them on LinkedIn by just putting in raw hair. And then also you can find them on YouTube. And also another thing to keep in mind is do not go off of looks, likes, and the people that follow or watch their videos. A lot of really good vendors that are great vendors do not have a big following at all. Please keep that in mind as well. And then we can talk about how to safeguard your money in another video. So it's already been 20 minutes. I wanted to keep it nice and short, even though it's not short, but you can probably fast forward to the first 10 minutes to get an understanding of how to start the journey of finding lace wigs and finding hair and all that other good stuff. First thing I want you guys to do is I want you guys to become very familiar with the terminology: raw hair, virgin hair, Remy hair, single drawn, and double drawn. Look all that information up, understand what all that is, and then start looking for vendors. Let's start there. That's your first step. That's the first homework. And I'm going to continue on this journey that I've experienced for the past 15 years. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. How do we turn this off?